Here, you see the database script. Okay, yeah. Everything here. So I get it ready to use. This one is generated by this PHP my admin. You can see I use export. So you get this. Now I need to work in PHP my admin. Yeah, let me start example control panel. Yeah. First, start Apache server. Then MySQL server, database server. Second, okay, all right. Then I need to start a web browser. Yeah, localhost. Because here example is here. Yeah. Right. The welcome page of the example. Then I click this link, PHP my admin. Yeah, it takes some time. The first time loading, quite slow. Yeah. All right, so loaded. Yeah, because here I have a lot of databases I used before. Yeah. All right, now let me show you the basic operations we need. First thing, we need to create a database. Yeah. So here, let me use a stick. Yeah. All right. First, we need to create a new database. Here, I already have my AnimalDB many versions. You can see, okay, my AnimalDB many versions. Yeah. So now, I show you, I need to create a new one. Yeah. On your machine, that's your first version. So on my machine, so I need to create a new database. So I click this databases tab. You see, create a database, we need to type the new database name, AnimalDB, let's say 5. AnimalDB5. Okay. Oh, before I do this, another thing. Yeah. Because sometimes creating database, the command could be inside the database script. There is a possibility. So before I create here, let me check the database script. If there is a line, create database already there. Yeah. So I want to make sure, is there create database? No. Yeah. Oh, yeah, database animal, yeah. So there is no create database line. Okay, yeah, create a table. Yeah. Otherwise, the first line should be create database. So we don't have that line, so we need to create manually here. So AnimalDB5, click the button, create. Then it's created, this AnimalDB5. Click it. Then you can see it is an empty database, nothing there. So you can see the database, current database name, database : AnimalDB5. Yeah. See, yeah. So it is selected. All right. Now we can work on this database. All right. Yeah. So let me show you some simple operations. When you need to type SQL commands, you need to work in this SQL tab. Yeah. Command window. Yeah. Type your command. All right. First, let me switch to a different database. Remember the command use database. Yeah. All right. Use, okay? All right. The font is too small, right? Yeah, I like to, make the font larger. Yeah, that font too small. Yeah. All right, a little larger. Use database name animal DB, let me say 3, okay? Yeah, 3. Change to a different, and click a go button. Go. Yeah. Now you see animal DB3 is selected as the current database, and the database colon animal DB3. Okay? Now every SQL command you type here, it is applied to animal DB3. All right? Then let me go back to 5, animal DB5, because I want to populate this database in this window. Now I go to the text editor where I open the animal DB database script. Yeah, everything there I want to copy paste. Yeah. So here, let me do it. Control A, Control C, so copy. Then, in this SQL window, Control V, yeah, so everything is here, yeah. All right, then click the Go button. Go, yeah, no error, right? So click one table, okay? You click the Browse link, you see the content of this table. Okay, yeah. So that's the, first few basic steps when you use this web application, PHP MyAdmin, to work on MySQL databases. Yeah. All right. So this is the one simple way. Copy paste. Yeah. So you get a text editor, copy paste. Yeah. Run the command. But there is another way. I also like to, sometimes you may need to use a different way. Yeah. So let me show you another way, convenient way to populate databases here. All right. Here, look at this More tab, and there export, import. Yeah. So import, you can use this import tab to import a new database. Okay, yeah, here. When you get import here, yeah, you can choose file. You can upload a file. Choose file, then you click it. So then a navigation window. Yeah, why so slow? Choose file. Yeah. Choose file. Oh yeah. Download. Yeah, ask me to choose. Show all files. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So here I can, navigate, find my file location to upload. Yeah. So if we need, yeah. So this way usually we use for large database file, large, because when the database script, the file size is relatively large, then when you use copy paste, you have problem, right? Copy paste, because we know the buffer has some limit. The size of the buffer, a copy you need to put in a buffer temporarily, so that buffer has some size limitation. Yeah, because sometimes I work on my projects before. My database could be as large as more than 100 megabytes. That large. I have, I collect a lot of data. So the total, the database script .SQL file, if you look at the size, more than 100 megabytes. So for the file size that large, you don't want to copy paste, right? Yeah. In that way, you import. Okay? Import, upload, then you run it, then whole database populated. Yeah. So these two ways. Yeah. All right. Then now because this database is ready, so here I may like to show you some simple operations. Yeah. All right. Let's look at the table, our data. So this is our data. Okay. Votes. Okay. Yeah. All right. Now let me type some simple command. Yeah. We select data. Yeah. We do our simple query on this table. Yeah. The first query. Let me click this SQL window. Yeah, all right. Yeah, the default. Select star from table name where one the condition, the where clause, because one always true, right? Yeah, one means true. Where one, your condition always true. Yeah. So that means because here you can add a condition. Yeah, because where one, you can change the condition. Okay. Yeah. Or because this is a friendly way for you to add your new condition. Yeah. Here, I do not use any condition, so I get all the data from this table. This is the query result. Okay? So that's the first simple command. Yeah. Second, this time, I want to put some condition. Okay? All right. Votes, yeah? Because for the votes number, let me put a condition. Votes number greater than 6. Yeah. I only select those rows satisfying this condition. Rows greater than 6. Yeah. Then I run it. Run this command. Yeah. See? Now you can see only those 4 rows. They have votes number greater than 6. Yeah. 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 Then, if I go back to the original table, you can see in this original table, this 4, yeah, 1 row, yeah, because this one, the votes number less than 6, not selected. Yeah. Things like that. Yeah. So that's the first few simple query statements. All right. Then, another, yeah, so this is, we use the PHP MyAdmin working on our own machine. Yeah, here. So this is one way on our own machine. There is another way I also want to introduce to you, the Microsoft database I mentioned before. Now I want to show you another database we also need to use for this class. Yeah. So let's go to the W3 Schools website. Yeah. So that one. Yeah. W3 Schools. Okay. Yeah. All right. Then, here, there are many tutorials, okay, with the bar. And there is a page, if you go to tutorials, large number. Yeah. But most commonly used, yeah, here, okay, on this top bar, most commonly used tutorials. Other topics, you can go to tutorials. You can find a large number of different tutorials. Then, when we need to work on MySQL, yeah, one little thing I like to point it out. Yeah. Here, you look at the MySQL tab. Okay, all right. So you click it, so go to MySQL section. But there is another one here, because last semester, many students went to the wrong section. Yeah, last semester. Yeah, let me point it out. then you will see the different behavior. Oh, yeah. What's that? Yeah, here, I just pointed out. Yeah, because if you use this page here or some other places, probably. Look at learn SQL. One section. Learn MySQL. What's the difference? SQL, MySQL. SQL, MySQL. Okay? Yeah, it's different. We know. SQL, we talk about industry standard. SQL standard. Okay? So the common features for all DBMSs. That's SQL. Okay? MySQL, there is one part inside MySQL that's different from SQL, right? Yeah. Remember the added part. So we call it extension part. There is an extension part. The extension part, that's the special part for MySQL. So those features, extension part features, only work in MySQL. In other DBMS, they do not work. Those features not available in other DBMS. Okay? So for this class, we should choose MySQL section, not a SQL section. Okay? SQL section. Because for some SQL statements, the syntax, behavior slightly different. Slightly different. Yeah. Because this happened last semester, and at the beginning, because my student told me the behavior is different from what you said. And I didn't realize he used the SQL tutorial page. I didn't realize. So I asked him to try on my machine. It works just like what I said. But on his machine, behavior different. At the end, so then in class I show, one class I show, you need to click MySQL tab. Then he realized he chose the wrong one. He chose the wrong one, finally. So here, I let you know at the beginning, okay? Yeah. Let's choose MySQL tab, tutorial. So we go there, right? Yeah, so this part. And in this part, tutorial, many topics, small, short topics, plenty, so we can use for this class. But there is a Microsoft database installed. We can use directly. Yeah. So look at anything. Yeah, because mention MySQL. Introduction page. Intro page, intro page, because here I want to show you the database part. RDBMS. I want to show you the database part. All right. So the database part. Look at this page. It does not mention the database name. So here, this database is called Northwind database. The name of the database, Northwind. We can download the database script. Search, download. I did it. I can upload my database script. So you can install a version on your own machine. Northwind. But you can use that server. You can use W3 School because they have this database installed on that remote server. We can use directly. So that's for some students. If you have not installed exam software successfully, so you can use W3 schools version. Yeah. So here, yeah, let me, yeah, W3 schools version. Yeah, let me select. Yeah, let's go to the select page. Okay, select page. Yeah, syntax, select syntax. All right. Now we want to run example. Okay, yeah, so here, run example. Click try it yourself. Yeah. Then, this place you can see, this page we can type our own commands, SQL statement here in this window. Then, all the tables in this Northwind database. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 tables. Yeah. Yeah. So this table, the number of records, 2,000 something. Yeah. The number of rows. Yeah. Yeah. Then you can type command. Yeah. All right. Let me select this largest table, more than 2,000 rows. I click it, then all the rows displayed here. Okay, all the rows, 2,000 something. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so this command. Yeah, but here I want to show you a simple. Yeah, because too many rows, more than 2,000. Yeah, but I don't want to see all the rows. Yeah, I only want to see a portion of the rows. A portion of the rows. I want to show you, okay? Yeah. So, how to select part of the rows in this table? Yeah. So there is a simple command. Yeah. The keyword is called a limit. Limit keyword, okay? Yeah. Limit. You need to specify 2 examples after this limit keyword. First one is the starting location. Okay, let me say I type 100, comma. Yeah, we want to start from the row. Yeah, actually, if you put 100, you skip 100 rows. Okay, you skip the first 100 rows. So your first row should be 101, row number 101. Okay, yeah. Because if you want to get the first row, 0. You just type 0. All right. Then, how many rows I want to take? Yeah. I type the row number, 10. Okay, 10 rows I want to take. Then I click the button. Now you see, this time the result, I get 10 records. 10 records. Okay. Yeah, the starting point, starting one, 101. See, the ID, 101. Row number, 101. Okay? Yeah. All right. So you get 10 rows. Yeah. So here I show you a special keyword, limit keyword, that's only available in MySQL. Okay? In other DBMS, you cannot use this limit keyword. Yeah. That's a special keyword in MySQL. Okay? Other DBMS, you need to use a different way. Okay? All right. Then, this simple command, you can do one special feature called a pagination. Pagination feature. Yeah. Because this 2,000 rows, there are many large number of pages. When you have data with large number of pages, you want to do page by page. Page by page. Yeah. That's the pagination feature. Yeah? So you can use this command to do pagination feature easily. Yeah. Okay? All right? Yeah. So that's the simple command. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So let me just stop right here. Stop the demo right here. Yeah. Let's move to our module 2, part A. Yeah. Okay, let me shut down my server because I want to save some memory resource. Yeah. These two servers may use a lot of resource. So let me shut down. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so then I'll pop on slides. Okay, all right. Yeah. All right. 8.1. Yeah. Part A, more on databases and DBMSs. 8.1 are the advanced features of DBMSs. Yeah. So this part I like to give you 3 advanced features in DBMS. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so this first one, yeah, I talk about limit clause, MySQL limit clause. So here you can see, I give you example. Yeah. Where clause? Yeah. What's the condition? The condition, first condition is the quantity number greater than 10. Okay, yeah, quantity number greater. Then under that condition, you still have a large number of rows, right? Yeah. Large number of rows. Then I only take a portion of it. So what portion? Limit 1,000. Yeah. The first parameter 1,000. That means we need to get the row. Our first row should be 1,001. Yeah. Okay. All right. So then 20 rows. Yeah. But there is a simplified version. Also, because sometimes there is a simplified version, only use one parameter. Yeah. So that is, you use limit. Yeah. When you start from 0, default case 0, yeah, from the very beginning, yeah, row number 1, and you want to take certain number of rows. So this version can be simplified. So people skip the first parameter. Okay, so that version, we just use 15. Okay, yeah. One parameter version. One parameter means you start from the first row of the table. Then we just use one default case. Yeah. First parameter is a default number, 0. We don't need to write it. So that's this command. Yeah. And in Oracle, this feature doesn't work. Okay. So that causes the problem. Yeah, that causes the problem when you need to, suppose you develop one web application using MySQL at the beginning. Later, you need to modify, you change to Oracle DBMS. Yeah. I mentioned the ESI project before. ESI, in their company, they use the Oracle. They use the Oracle DBMS. Our students, for our class, we use MySQL. See? We use MySQL. Yeah. We do not use Oracle. Then, after we develop web applications, the code, the queries, all written in the MySQL syntax. Then, when we move to ESI, yeah, the SQL statements need to be converted to Oracle versions. Yeah. That's not easy. A lot of work, time-consuming work. So this one is, one example. Yeah. All right. Then, let me talk about the first advanced feature in DBMS called transactions. Yeah. Here, this transaction concept in DBMS context, it's different from our real world understanding transactions. Yeah, real world. So we have understanding, when you do banking, so you do transactions. Yeah. But in DBMS context, there is a special definition for the transaction. Yeah. And it's an important concept in DBMS. Yeah. Yeah. So let me explain this concept. Yeah. Define a business task containing a sequence of database accesses. Yeah. All right. So that's because one particular business task requires a sequence of closely related SQL queries to complete that task. Okay. That's the first condition. Second, and these SQL queries cannot be separated. That the second. So two conditions. The first one, the second condition, the key requirement cannot be separated. If these SQL queries are separated, then something could be wrong in the business task. Something could be wrong. Okay? So things like this happen frequently in the business applications. Yeah. Here, let me use a simple example to explain. Yeah. Let's assume there is a sequence of banking transactions. Yeah. One particular business task contains a sequence of banking transactions. Okay? All right. Here, I just use two. Yeah. For a simple example, I use two transactions. Okay? The first one, withdraw from account A. There are two accounts, account A and account B. Yeah. Yeah. So the first transaction, we want to withdraw from account A a certain amount of money. Okay? Then, the second transaction, we need to deposit that same amount in another account, account B. Okay? Yeah. But these two operations cannot be separated. Okay? Yeah. Otherwise, if you just make the first operation, after the first operation, something suddenly, something gets wrong. Yeah. So, earthquake, something, dramatic occurs. You cannot complete the second operation. When that happens, then you have some trouble in your business task. Yeah. The money withdraw, but you couldn't deposit in another account. Yeah. So then the amount, you cannot get a total amount balanced. Yeah. You get trouble. Yeah. Things like this could happen frequently in the business applications. So then the business people want this feature strongly. So what's that? They want, can you, DBMS people, can you build inside your DBMS software to prevent any action, do not allow any action to break this sequence of SQL operations. Do not allow it happen. You need to build some mechanism to prevent breaking certain group of SQL operations. That's what they need. Yeah. Then this transaction concept is created to handle that requirement. Okay? All right. Now let me talk about how to do it in the DBMS, inside DBMS, in order to support this transaction operation. Yeah. Yeah. We need to do these things. Yeah. All right. So here. Yeah. No separation between them. Yeah. So then, how to implement a transaction inside DBMS. Yeah. Yeah. These things should be done. First, you need to define the starting point of a transaction. Yeah. Where to start? Okay? Yeah. Beginning of the transaction. You need to mark the first SQL statement in your transaction. Yeah, because there is a list of SQL commands. Yeah. So the first one you mark, this is the first SQL statement inside the transaction. Yeah. The second step, after the starting point, then you need to provide a sequence of queries for the task. Yeah. Consecutive SQL commands in your transaction. Okay? Yeah. Then the endpoint at the end, yeah, because you need to tell the DBMS this is the end of the transaction. Yeah. How do you tell? You send a signal, you send another command to DBMS, commit the transaction. Yeah. Now, commit it. Okay? Now, we are done. We finished the definition. Now we are ready to run the sequence of SQL commands as an integrated group. You cannot break it. You have to run from beginning to end without interruption in the middle. You do not allow any interruption anywhere in the middle. Yeah. Do it. Commit. Okay. All right. That's the step number 3. But you need to consider things could happen in the middle, right? You know, something could happen. Yeah. When you try to execute the sequence of commands, something could happen in the middle. Yeah. You need to find a way to control the damage. You don't want something unexpected occur in the middle to make any damage on your data, right? You need to control that damage. So the last step, control the damage. Okay? Prevent the damage. So how to prevent the damage? Roll back if there is an error. Yeah. Because when you try to execute commands, in the middle somewhere, there is an error. That error causes, you cannot complete your current transaction. Then you need to roll back. So what do you mean roll back? Roll back, you need to go back to the point before you run this transaction. Okay? Recover. Okay? Do not do any. Yeah. So this rollback means you do not run any SQL command. Okay? Now, so we would rather don't do anything. Don't run any SQL command. Because if we cannot complete it, then we should do nothing to avoid the damage. Because if you run this transaction partially, you may cause some damage on the business data. That idea. So rollback, you want to go back to the beginning of, before the execution of this transaction, that point. Yeah. Undo, okay? Undo all your SQL queries. Okay, undo. Yeah. And after you fix the problem, yeah, because some special problem occurs, after you fix the problem, then you run this transaction another time. And this time, you want to complete everything without interruption. That idea, okay? That's the transaction feature, an advanced feature for DBMS. Yeah. So right now, all the modern DBMS all support this because this feature is so important. Yeah. The business people, they really need this feature in their applications. Yeah. So this is our first advanced feature, transaction. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Properties. Yeah. So now we summarize the properties for this transaction. There are two properties. Okay. Two properties. Yeah. All right. First property called the isolation property. So what's the isolation property? Yeah. The meaning of isolation property is, yeah. Think about in one DBMS, you may run multiple transactions. Okay? Multiple transactions. Yeah. So like transaction 1, transaction 2. Yeah. Transaction 1, you have a list of SQL commands in transaction 1. Transaction 2, you have another sequence of commands in transaction 2. Isolation means these two sets of SQL commands should be isolated. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. DBMS, yeah, needs to enforce this isolation. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Not mix them, isolation. That's the first property. Second property, no interference from other transactions. Yeah. Second, called atomicity. Yeah. That's the key property. Yeah. Key property is this one, atomicity property. Yeah. Isolation, natural. Yeah, you have to have this. But the most important one, what I explained here, that's the meaning of atomicity property. So it's the basic idea is all or none database operations are executed. Okay? After you define a sequence of a sequence of database operations, you only have two options to run these operations. All, okay, from beginning to end. Don't miss anyone. All together. Or if you cannot do all, then your second choice is none. Do not run any of them. All or none. Okay? Yeah. No separation. Okay? No separation of these sequence of commands. Yeah. That's what we call the atomicity property. Atom. We know atom. The meaning of the atom, in a very old history, atom not people think non-separable, right? Yeah, we use that. People use that meaning. Atom means that particle cannot be separated. Yeah, you cannot break it. Yeah, so that's a always integral thing. Yeah. So here, this block of operations is not separable. You cannot break it. Yeah. Yeah. So we call this property atomicity property. Yeah. So that is this first advanced feature. Second advanced feature, concurrency control. Yeah. This feature also important in business applications. Yeah. Concurrency control. All the DBMS, modern DBMS, should support this concurrency control feature. Yeah. So what's that? Yeah. So support several users trying to update the same data, do so in a controlled manner. Yeah. Think about it. In a typical web application, multiple users need to apply SQL queries on the same database, same table, right? Same set of data. Yeah. How to control all those operations? Yeah, because concurrency, that means from the business point of view, you don't want to delay, okay? You want all these users, they can use the same database at the same time, okay? Yeah, yeah. For example, the Black Friday people order, online shopping, yeah? So you don't want to delay the operations, yeah? So you want to let large number of users use your web application concurrently, okay? Yeah. But you need to protect your data. You need to make sure those operations running concurrently does not mess up the data, right? Yeah. So to do that in a well-organized way, yeah, so the DBMS needs to create some built-in mechanism to do it, handle it without any problem. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's the second advanced feature. Yeah. All right. Include this feature, but the Microsoft Access, yeah, because Microsoft Access, that's for small business, yeah, or even home business. Yeah. This software mainly used for the home business. Yeah. Single user. Yeah. Home business. Only one user. One home. Single user. Yeah. So its early version did not support concurrency control. No such feature. Yeah. Because only one user, one user use it. Okay? You don't need a concurrency feature. Okay? Yeah, so that's the early version. Yeah. But later, many people use Microsoft Access in web applications for small business. Web application. Running the databases for their home business, but the home business is, for online applications. Yeah. People can order products from home business. In that situation, then it's possible multiple users may access the same database concurrently, right? Yeah. But then something happened. So if multiple users access, in the same period of time, then the waiting time, response time is very slow. Very slow. Because there is no concurrency control support in early version of Microsoft Access. Yeah. So it happens a lot, Yeah, I saw, many organizations, yeah. So they pick the Microsoft Access. If they pick MySQL, then no problem. MySQL, good support. But some organizations, some professors, I heard they use the Microsoft Access. Then waiting time, sometimes waiting time very long. Users complain, why wait so long to get a response? Because no concurrency. So multiple users, they need to access the database in a queue. Okay. After the first one complete, second one complete, third one. So there is a queue there. Okay, if you have concurrency control, then all these users can access at the same time. Use the time sharing, right? So inside operating system, multi-threading, okay, technique. Time slicing, right? Yeah. So break certain period of time into multiple slices, then assign each slice to one user. Okay. The first user, each user get one slice of time, running time, okay, CPU time. Then the next round you get another slice, but you can always get some CPU time. Yeah. So all the users get a progress. Okay. All the users get your assigned time slices. So you can get a progress. You don't need to wait a long time. Okay? So you can see the progress all the time. Right? Yeah. So that's the concurrency control. Yeah. But later, Microsoft made a change. Yeah. So the recent version support up to 255 concurrent users. Yeah. For small business, that's good enough. Yeah, because they target a small business, home business, typically home business, even smaller than small business, home business, okay? Personal home business. So they don't want to make too powerful, because they have their more powerful DBMS, okay, for upper level users. So that's the this feature. Yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. So all web applications require this feature for data accesses. Yeah. So this feature, in this online computing era, so you have to have this feature. All right. The transaction feature requires this feature. Transaction feature is built on top of this concurrency control feature. All right. Then the third advanced feature called the stored procedures. Yes. All modern DBMS should have this feature, stored procedures. The meaning is this. Later, we have a lot of discussions. We need to use the stored procedures. That's basically, you write your programs using SQL. So what's stored procedures? All right. So each stored procedure, basically, it is a SQL function. It's a SQL function. Function. Inside this function, you use the usual our programming logic in this function. So you can do data processing, but we use SQL commands to write a definition of these functions. So this feature also very useful. All right. In form of functions with input and output. Just our regular functions. But your programming language is the SQL language. So not other programming language. So you use the SQL command to write function definition. Then you can see we can run stored procedures inside DBMS. All right. Written in SQL, execute a sequence of SQL statements in DBMS. Later, I will talk about. So why we do this? You may ask, why we do this? Because we can use other programming languages to write data processing functions, right? Java, C++, Python. We can use other programming language to write it. But this way has a lot of advantages. Later, we have several places I need to talk about the advantages of this way. Very important. SQL way. Related to data processing. You need to do data processing efficiently. Yeah. So this way has an advantage over other programming language way. Okay. Yeah, Java, PHP, .NET. Yeah. It has its advantage. Yeah. Yeah. So later, I will give you more details. Yeah. Yeah. Then this part we treat it as part of the database definition, yeah? Because for each database, how do we define a database? For each database, there are two parts. Okay, the first part, definition part. Definition of the database. So usually definitions of tables, a set of tables. Yeah, that's the first part. That part we call it metadata. Okay, this first part we call it metadata. What's the meaning of the metadata? Metadata means descriptive data. Okay, you want to describe data, so the purpose of the metadata is used as description of some other data. Okay? Yeah. So the data used to describe other data, that's the metadata. Okay? Yeah. So the definition part, that's the metadata. Yeah. So this stored procedure also belongs to the metadata. Yeah. The description part of the data. Then the second part. Second part is the business data. Business data. Okay? Yeah? Yeah. Yeah. So that's the two parts of a typical database. Yeah. Yeah. Metadata and the true business data. Yeah. Two parts. Yeah. All right. So then, a lot of things. So this stored procedure belongs to this metadata part, yeah, not the business part, not business data part. Yeah. All right. Then another important, yeah. So why it's so useful? Yeah, this sentence tells you why it is useful. The stored procedure, yeah, can be called locally and remotely. Locally, on the same machine. Okay, so your DBMS running on one particular machine, then you call it on the same machine. So locally, remotely different machine. Okay, remote machine. Okay, so your DBMS is running on a remote server, database server. But you want to call stored procedure in that remote database server. Yeah, so you can do it. Yeah, you can do it. So locally, remotely, yeah, from the application programs. Yeah, from application programs. So this is important. Yeah, this is important. Here, let me describe a typical situation to use this feature. Suppose this is our data center. This is our data center. Yeah, so our database server running in this data center. Okay, all right. Then, so that's one location. So this circle, each circle represents one location, certain location. Then we have, several servers on several other locations. Yeah, different servers. And suppose this location, we need to write a Java. Use Java programming language to write some of the features in this web server. So this is, web server. Okay? Yeah. Well, yeah. Web server. Yeah. All right. Then here, this location, let's assume PHP web server. Okay? Yeah. Another. Then this one, let's look at C#, okay, .NET web server. Yeah, in different programming languages. Then all these web servers, they can access the data center, yeah, calling the stored procedures, inside from application programs. Yeah, in the application programs in different languages, you call the same stored procedure programs. Okay, yeah, functions. Yeah, very convenient. Yeah, to do data processing. Yeah, yeah. So that is the one important usage. Yeah. Can be created inside application program. Yeah, inside application program, you define the stored procedure inside your application program. Yeah, you can do that. I created one. In my Java program, I can create all right, so let me finish quickly. Yeah, all right, so in your Java program, you can define a stored procedure, yeah, and install it in your remote DBMS server. Okay, yeah. In different programs, you can do that. Yeah. I want a special database processing function in the form of stored procedure. Then I can do it inside my Java program. Yeah. Later, I will expand this topic. Okay, I will elaborate this topic. Yeah. All right. So let's stop right here. Yeah.